So I saw Netflix's Mute by Duncan Jones, and it wasn't very good. Duncan Jones, who is the son of late musician David Bowie, once seemed like a promising director, especially with his debut film Moon. Source code I found to be pretty great for the most part, except for the ending that ruined the entire fucking movie. He also directed Warcraft, which I haven't actually seen yet, and now his new film Mute seems to be the most poorly received of all of them, and I don't have a very difficult time understanding why. First of all, the movie was really boring. Oftentimes the plot felt as though it was meandering, and much of the film felt largely unimportant. The plot didn't really seem to be the film's priority, though. It really felt like the film was riding on its stylistic and world-building elements, but unfortunately those were really subpar. Much of the movie felt as though it was trying to be like Blade Runner, as though it was appealing to some sort of imaginary cult audience that it didn't actually earn. One of the recurring characters in the film has this plastic on his fucking forehead, as though that's supposed to be some sort of futuristic trend. That was obnoxious. There's so many instances where this movie just completely misses the mark in terms of presenting a futuristic setting. Part of the reason why films like Blade Runner work is because the dystopian future they're presenting is a reflection of our own current society. It's not just random weird-looking shit that you throw into the movie. To create a believable futuristic society, you first have to observe and understand our current society. Otherwise, it just comes off as incredibly forced and lame. Those sex robot things they had going on in this movie definitely fit that description. It felt like they were just shoving this shit in our face as though we were supposed to be somehow interested or impressed. Also, what exactly was the point of the main character being Amish? It didn't really come into play in the story at all. He never had any difficulty figuring out that phone that he got, and the fact that he lived in the city surrounded by everyone else just made his character less believable. Where's that natural-looking area that existed during the opening scene when you were a kid? Did all of that get turned into skyscrapers within a couple decades? Why'd you move to the city anyway? I mean, especially if you're going to continue not even having a phone. Like, yeah, I get that the main character is mute, but it would still be pretty fucking handy, you know? I guess that the movie was just trying to make him more of an interesting character, but just like every other aspect to this film, it was nothing but forced. Nothing came organically. They just threw in some weird shit here and there and hoped that it would make people invested. The fact that he was mute really didn't help much at all, and I almost feel like it made the actor overcompensate at times. There's quite a few points in the film where his reaction is just so fucking goofy. His eyes get really wide when he reacts to certain things, and it just winds up being unintentionally funny. The music was also terrible. Not only was it inappropriately used and generally overpresent, but the compositions themselves were really fucking lame. Much of it felt like stock music and was really irritating to listen to. I'm starting to think that Clint Mansell has different tiers for what he'll offer when he signs on to a project. Maybe he just saves his good compositions for better films. Perhaps he sees no point in wasting his efforts on shit like this. And on top of all that, everything looked like shit. The environments felt super fake. It never felt as though the characters were actually there. Much of it looked really unprofessional and unfinished. There are even moments where what should be an incredibly simple visual effect wound up looking like garbage. There's a scene where a computer image is showing what someone's doing on a treadmill. It's basically mapping their joints and showing how their body is moving, but instead of doing some really basic mocap, they decided to animate it from scratch for some reason, and what we wind up seeing is just so incredibly inorganic and fake. It just looks bad. Nobody cared, I guess. The whole movie is just really lame, fake, cheesy, and boring. It insists upon your investment, but it is far from interesting. I cannot really recommend this film to anybody. I do not know who would enjoy it, really, so I guess don't see it. And I'm giving this one a 3 out of 10. Hey guys, just a quick update. I've been noticing some comments from people that seem to think that I've stopped making YMS reviews, but that is not the case. There has always been gaps between larger projects, and also keep in mind that the last large project that I worked on was my 2015 list 2 months ago. I am currently working on YMS The Visit, so stay tuned for that. The only difference at this point is that we're getting more content in between those videos instead of just large gaps of nothing. I finally started getting editing help on smaller projects like this video you're watching, so it's allowed me to justify reviewing reviewing more material than I normally would have, because this way these smaller reviews aren't taking nearly as much time away from the larger projects I want to focus on. There's always going to be large gaps in between large projects, but now instead of getting 4 or 5 different videos in between them, we're getting dozens. So just try your best to understand that more content in between the larger projects does not mean that I'm abandoning the larger projects. The upload rate on this channel has been much better with the extra help, and I'm working my hardest to try and make sure that these larger projects get out as soon as possible. Anyway, just wanted to keep you guys informed because some people seemed confused. Thank you guys for watching, I appreciate it. Peace!